He says they'll find it. First guy that told me about it, he said he was down in a Guadalupe River bottom getting his big machine ready to blow poison to the top of the tallest tree. He said while he was getting that machine ready, he happened to look over and he saw a webworm colony and a wasp carried off the webworm. He said when I stand there looking, another wasp. He says, I just forgot about that machine. I stood there and watched. He said, I don't know how long it was. It might have been 30 minutes. It didn't seem like 30 minutes, but he said pretty soon the wasp carried off every webworm. He said, I felt real bad about spraying the rest of the day. Well, another guy topped that story. I was telling a story one day, and this old gentleman said, Beck, you're right. He says, I've watched those wasps get in there. He said, but that old gentleman, right, when you carry it open, they work right fast. He says, what I do, he says, as soon as I see a webworm, I got a big old long stick. By my back door, I walk out there and knock it out. I tear it out. He said it wasn't long. He said I'd watch, and within 5 or 10 minutes the wasp would be working. He said then next time I tear one open, he said within 2 or 3 minutes the wasp would be working. He says now when I walk out the back door with a stick, the wasp falls. They never were a problem, never until they came out with an aerosol can and you get knocked down. There they are looking at you. These are the intellectuals of the insect world. I find that, and I read about it in lots of bug books. Entomologists that study insects say that this is the only insect, the wasp, or the only insect on Earth that has the ability to learn, remember, and pass it on. And that's fact. They would catch insects and put them under a glass dome with an escape maze. All other insects beat themselves to death. Not the wasp. The wasp looks out. Wonder where the door is. I'll try that. It would escape the capture, put it back, went right to the door. No other insect who accidentally found the door would remember. They're the intellectuals of the insect world. They learn to know you, and once they learn to know you and know you're not a threat, they won't sting you unless you actually crush them. In our barn, no longer have cattle. I had a guy in there making stepping stones and edging and stuff, and there was I had lights down there, and there was right under the light switch was a nest about that big around, solid wasp. And old Larry Stewart worked down there, and every morning he would go in there and pet the wasp. He'd pet them real nice, talk to them, flip the light switch on. In the evening we'd pet them and tell them bye. Never did bother. And later on when he's gone, well, those wasps always stayed around, had a nest in there. And somebody came over one day and they wanted a piece of equipment or something I had, and I had a bunch of junk stored in that barn. And usually in the summertime I wear a big turtle shell hat. And I'm digging around for that piece of equipment, and I'm finally going to raise up. My hat bumped the chain hanging down with a big wasp nest like this. And I'm standing in a swarm of bees, and I say, hey, this is old Beck. They bumped me over, and I wanted to stun me.
Mr. Beck, you said that you would take those nests, if they were in a place where you didn't want them to be, that you would take that nest and move it somewhere else.
You got to be real slow when you do it. Yes, you can do that.
Okay. What, do you glue it to the different place?
No, use a hat pin.
A hat pin?
Yeah, you know, a long hat pin.
Yeah.
Stick it through that little tip. It's real hard where you broke it loose.
Yeah.
And then there are a long skinny nail. Yeah, that makes it easy. You know what a hat pin is, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Nobody wears hats, and the ladies that wear hats. But that works real good. You need to and leave it, you know, where they're not, where they can fly around. You know, don't put it in a bush so thick they can't get in and out. I'll run into people and say, all I got to do is get within 10 or 15 feet of those things, and they come and sting me and chase me. I asked them, I said, well, how many have you knocked down in your life? They said, well, knock them all down. I said, well, they pass that on. They all know you. No. We would have them all over our place, and nobody ever got bit.
Largest one I ever seen was 4 feet across.
Is that right?
Cattle Lake over in East Texas.
I don't think I'd want to move
I was busy trying to yo-yo fishing. Looked up, right over my head.
They are the intellectuals of the insect world. Got a limited ability to learn and remember and pass on knowledge. I don't know what that is. It's there one day and gone the next. It's a bark louse or something like that. I think it's what it is, bark louse. They feed on the bark and they spin a little web, and you better photograph it if you want it because they're dead to its gone. And that's the cone-nosed butterfly. Well, remember when those things were really bad?
Yeah.
Swarming around, flying every direction. They were written up in all the newspapers, magazines. Some of these entomologists said they're going north. Some said, no, they ain't. They're going west. None said they're going south. I watched them. They went everywhere. Anyway, and they naming two different species. One of them had a snout, and the other didn't have a snout. They had them separated, two separate species. Well, one day there was a kid out in front of our office, our showroom, catching them things, famous. I said, son, you know what it is? He said, yeah, Mr. Beck, that's a snout-nosed butterfly. He said, now, you know, Mr. Beck, they lose that snout when they get old. I said, how do you know? Oh, I watched them. Nobody knew that. So I trapped a bunch of them in our big greenhouse. And when I trapped them in, they all had snouts. Sure enough, within about 7 days, none of them had snouts. They all, and nobody wrote it up in the paper, and nobody knew. You're a 14-year-old boy. And that was a 14-year-old boy that took a picture of all them baby beetles on that tree. And I felt sorry for that little spider. This is on a big green tub we got, and it's made like this. And she was dragging that worm, outlaid her 3 or 4 times at this angle, going really, really slow. Well, I put that in the bug book, but the guy that put out the new issue said, no, it had to be laying horizontal. So he put the picture horizontal, and I got it corrected. Those little jumping spiders and fly spiders. Oops. That's it. Y'all want
You got a space.
got to stay?
Yeah, there's.
Well, I'm going to sleep right here, y'all. Thank you, David.
Anybody have any
Everybody
questions?
awake?
Anybody got any questions, Mr. Beck?
Very interesting.
Not even dark yet.
We certainly appreciate you being around, sir. I've listened to you many times. Just great every time.
I'm going to let you get a program next time.
Does the government ever come up with a reason that bees are disappearing?
So what? Sick
Does the
bees?
government- or
There's all kinds of theories. Some think it's mite, or something gets in the hive. Others think it's pesticide. They don't know. And they say, boy, if we lose them, we're going to be in trouble. Well, if we lose them, we better stop using pesticides altogether. Because there's a whole lot of insects, like I showed y'all, that sarfid fly. It's a great pollinator. The Europeans brought the bees over. Who was doing the pollinating before the European bees came over, huh? We'd have to
Did you
figure
ever
out
hear
how.
the story about the bee caves in Austin?
No. I have
There's about 8 caves and they're all interconnected.
Is that right?
Back in the 1800s, the bees almost filled the caves up with honey.
Oh.
So some of the population of Austin decided they needed that honey better than